Hey there friends, today we're talking about milking your goat for the first time after she kids. How soon you need to milk her, what to expect, how to support her body as she comes into milk, and tips and tricks for a smooth experience easing into this next milking season. Hi, I'm Sarah from the Nest in the West. I'm a homeschool mom of 4 and a flower farmer. I raise mini Nubian dairy goats, and I teach homesteaders the art of making goat milk cheese in my online course, Goat Cheese Academy. Now, the first milking after a goat gives birth can feel a little intimidating, but most of what you're doing those first few milkings isn't so much about collecting the milk. It's about helping your doe stay comfortable and healthy and setting her up for success throughout the whole rest of her lactation. So, for starters, the goal of the first milking is not about the milk. I always aim to milk my goats the morning after they have had kids. So that first day after they kidded, I leave them alone, let them just bond with their babies, get the babies nursing, all of that. But that next morning, I am absolutely milking. Now, I raise mini Nubian dairy goats, and definitely any standard size goat and any mid-size goat, you're gonna need to milk them minimally within the first 24 hours after kidding, perhaps sooner than that if you have a really high producing standard size dairy doe. But sometimes smaller breeds like Nigerian dwarf, you may not have to milk them right away. I still think it's a really great idea to get them up on the milking stand each morning, to give them their grain, to assess their condition, make sure their udder health is well, and double check that kids are nursing evenly on both sides. Now, the number one goal of this first milking is relieving pressure. Usually your goat's udder will look shockingly full. Oh my goodness, it's surprising. And every single year I am just blown away and think to myself, could it get any bigger? This poor mama, she's trying to walk around with this engorged udder. And so some of that is going to be swelling and edema, and there's some things you can do to help her reduce that swelling and get more comfortable. But some of it is the milk and colostrum, and so you do need to relieve some pressure. Her kids are tiny, and they're probably not nursing super efficiently yet. They have very tiny little bellies, they don't take a whole lot, but she's been bred to produce more milk than they can consume. So it's up to you to make sure you are relieving that pressure, getting some of that milk out, making sure that babies are nursing evenly on both sides because they really love to pick a favorite teat. And often, especially if she's a high producer, they might get started on one side, and then because that side is not so full and hard and filled with milk, it's easier for them to nurse off of, and so they'll just keep nursing from that side, ignoring the other side, and that is a recipe for disaster right there because that side is going to get really full and engorged and probably get mastitis. Now, that swelling and edema I mentioned earlier will start to really go down within a week, but some ways you can help it along are something like Dynamint or a homemade udder mint balm. Anything with mint in it to really get the blood flowing and help reduce that swelling. So I like to get my mama goats up on the stand. Sometimes it is a little bit of a goat rodeo to get them over there. They often don't want to leave their babies. One great tip and trick is to take at least one of their kids along with them. Help lead them along so they're not so anxious about leaving their babies. And you can even set the kid right there at her feet or off to her side. Sometimes I have one of my own children hold the baby goat right next to mama's head so she can see them and lick them and smell them. And usually as soon as she sees her grain there, she's a little more calm, she's excited, she's hungry. And so get mama up on that stand, check out her udder, rub down her udder with some Dynamint or a mint udder balm of some sort, and then you can bring her on back. So I'm not aiming to get every drop of milk out. I know she's nursing her kids, and a lot of it really is the swelling. It's not so much milk. Her milk is coming in, but a lot of it's colostrum at this point. The real goal is just to assess her, get her evened out a bit, make sure no milk is building up and possibly going to cause mastitis. Now, if you attempt to keep this first milk, you're going to notice it doesn't taste very good. It probably tastes really salty. That's because of the colostrum. It's also because her hormones are evening out, and so the milk it does not taste good for a little while. Colostrum is a superfood, so there are some ways you can use this milk if you prefer. I keep meaning to make like a colostrum salted caramel ice cream. I feel like that would actually taste pretty good. In our family, I like to definitely save some of the colostrum right after mama kids. I'll milk out just a bit and freeze it in case of emergency with a future goat birth, so I have colostrum on hand to feed the babies. But other than that, we don't keep this early milk, and I either feed it to our pig or our chickens or our dogs even. It's a great superfood for them too. We were raising meat chickens this year when my goats were kidding, and so they got a lot of that excess milk. It really does take a few weeks to get a really nice sweet milk. And even then, it's not going to taste as good as it will eventually if you are dam raising your kids, because the mama saves back her best, creamiest, richest milk for her babies. It's what she should do. It makes her a good mom, but it does mean you're going to be getting some pretty close to skim milk for those first few weeks of her nursing. Now, after the first week to two, you'll notice the milk doesn't taste salty anymore, but it probably doesn't taste very sweet. This milk is perfectly safe and fine to drink. We actually like to use it to make yogurt or even chev. I find that the flavor doesn't affect it. It doesn't matter that the milk doesn't taste sweet and great for drinking necessarily. It's still really great for making yogurt and chev. You're just not going to get quite as high as a yield as you can expect once her kids are weaned, because as I mentioned earlier, this is pretty much a skim milk at this point. Some things you can do to help with the flavor of the milk improving are make sure that your mama goat has access to plenty of fresh water and lots of good quality minerals. So whether you're giving a loose mixed mineral or something like the mineral buffet, just make sure she has it out and available to her at all times. That's going to really help balance out her mineral intake and then help as she's adjusting hormonally too. Here on our homestead, we do kid share. So after about the first 2 weeks, we like to separate the baby goats from their mothers at night. And then that allows us to get the morning milk. You'll notice at about the 2-week mark, the babies start getting real effective with their nursing and they're drinking a whole lot. And they'll pretty much start to drain whatever mama has to offer. Now, a way that you can help signal to your goat's body to produce more is by keeping the babies penned up at night. They're old enough to night wean at that point. They're going to be just fine. Give them a little bit of hay, a little bit of water, keep them penned up. And then you can take that morning milk and then let babies out again to spend the whole rest of the day nursing as much as they want to and spending time with their mom. It is a little bit frustrating to not get that really good, creamy, rich milk for the first 8 weeks or so, as long as you dam raise your kids. But to me, it feels worth it. I like to know that we're raising up the next generation the healthiest way possible for their little bodies. And, you know, mama goats are just so happy when they get to keep their own kids. Bottle raising is totally an option as well. And I know many goat owners do it successfully and have very happy kids and mamas. But here on our farm, we just prefer to dam raise. And I love the relationship that builds between the mama goats and their kids. They really are able to teach their kids a lot about being a goat, far better than I ever could. And I just know that the babies are getting off to the very best start in life. Now, sometimes during this first milking or few, the goat may need a little bit of help to adjust to being back on the milk stand. Her hormones are raging. She's probably feeling a little bit crazy. Don't expect it to all go super smoothly. Give her time to adjust. Give yourself time to adjust and be patient with her. Sometimes it takes a little cajoling to get her up onto the milk stand. Sometimes you may need to hobble her so that she'll even let you touch her udder and teats. Sometimes, especially if she is experiencing a lot of swelling and maybe the kids haven't been nursing very effectively, and you know you need to get that milk out to prevent mastitis, don't be afraid to use a hobble if that's something you need to do to help keep her healthy. Okay, so those are my tips and tricks for getting off to a good start with your first milking of your goats after she has kidded. If you found this video helpful, would you do me a favor and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already? I offer lots of videos and helpful tutorials about dairy goat care, goat milk cheese making, and more. I love getting to help beginners start off on the right foot with their dairy goats. There's just so much to learn and honestly so much noise out there. It's hard to know whether you're doing the right thing and feel the confidence in the things that you're doing. That's why I spent the last year writing my book all about caring for your dairy goats holistically. And it's why I'm now working on a membership to help offer support to beginner and intermediate dairy goat owners. I'm creating this membership community to help goat owners feel confident in caring for their goats naturally and to get to deep dive into the topics you care about most. If a membership like this sounds intriguing to you, go ahead and hop on my waitlist so you can get updates and be the first to know when this membership launches. You can find the link to learn more in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'm cheering you on in your goat journey, and I'll see you in the next video.